the SuSanA ecosystem, because we all need access to resources so that we can implement more and more circular economy and more resource recovery in various products from our sanitation systems. And why do we need this? Of course, we need to link the work of different partners and colleagues that are working in this session, but also people that do have tools, different resources that can be used to implement resource recovery initiatives. This is something that can provide visibility to their work. And for those that do need tools and resources to implement resource recovery aspects, this can be useful in their work as well. So knowledge management and collaboration and bridging between these areas for action. So this is something that you can get involved if you have developed any tool that can be used to assess something, to plan something, design something, etc. related to resource recovery. Get in touch with us. We have our contacts there. So Stockholm Environment Institute is leading this work, but we're working together with the Secretariat and other colleagues, gathering tools that we shall display and visualize and boost on this particular platform. So that is all I will say about this for now. We'll save the questions for later, like we did in the previous sessions. And then from discussions of toolbox, how can we improve the watering so that we can recover these well-desired resources? Over to you, Nienke.
How much time do we have?
5 minutes.
Actually, I think we have more for you.
Yeah, I think it's time. It's going to be 5 minutes. I literally have 4 slides.
A little bit more because then we have more time for the discussion. So I increase the pressure, then we save the resources.
Give you
Thanks.
6 minutes. 6 minutes.
That would be the modus operandi.
Great. So my name is Nienke Andriessen. I am a project manager at Eawag in Switzerland in the management of excreta, wastewater, and sludge team. And as Daniel was already saying, I would love to start off this resource recovery session with talking about a treatment process that actually helps us increase resource recovery, which is dewatering of fecal sludge. Next slide, please. So why is dewatering important? As you can see up top, a lot of treatment technologies are quite large. They take up a lot of space, and in dense cities, that space is often not available. So if we can reduce the size of treatment technologies, including dewatering technologies, we could really help increase access to treatment in dense cities. One way to do that is by using conditioners. And when I say conditioners, I mean both flocculants and coagulants that help separate the solids from the liquids during the treatment process. What is often currently used are synthetic conditioners based on polyacrylamide, but these have a couple of drawbacks. They work well, but they are quite expensive to obtain. They often need to be imported from far away, and the effect that they have on the environment is often kind of unknown. As you can see here, this is an example of use of conditioners and how it can really improve solid-liquid separation in fecal sludge. So this one's unconditioned, and this one has a conditioner in there. Next one, please. So what we're trying to do to counter kind of those problems that polyacrylamide conditioners have is, can we produce conditioners locally from waste materials that can then be used in treatment plants to improve dewatering? So this has multiple benefits. One is you alleviate these supply chain issues, and you could use local waste to actually produce a resource that improves your treatment process. So what we've been doing in our lab, these are all very preliminary results, I'm going to say now. We've been using corn cobs and making modified cellulose conditioner from corn cobs, and we've been using shrimp waste and making chitosan from shrimp waste. So these are two different types of conditioners that we've been trying out to make ourselves and then test on fecal sludge. So I'm just going to present to you a couple of very preliminary results. Especially the modified cellulose conditioner so far seems to work well. However, the flocks, so the aggregates of solids, are quite small. For settling, that works really well. But maybe if you're using like something like a press to separate the solids and the liquids, that could potentially be a problem. Just to give you a very quick snapshot of what this could mean. So we tested our own homemade modified cellulose and chitosan conditioners, and then we compared it to commercially available alternatives, which is a commercial chitosan and a polyacrylamide conditioner. And we looked at COD reduction in the supernatant, so the liquid part, TSS reduction, and then looked at kind of what are optimal dosages. And so what you can see is that, for example, for the modified cellulose, it worked really well, but it also required higher dosages. So this is something where we identified there are still some room for improvements within our next research. Just to give you a bit of a snapshot of what that could look like. So up top, you see always the jar on the left is unconditioned, and then it has different dosages of one conditioner. So this is what I wanted to show you, is that the corn cob cellulose, you can clearly see that the supernatant is much clearer than in the other samples. This is only one type of fecal sludge that we compared. We currently have a student in Lusaka in Zambia who's testing out our homemade conditioners on different sludges to see what is the variability. And then that's my last slide. Things for further research that we still want to look at is, flock strength, and are these locally conditioners actually cheaper than importing more expensive commercial ones? What is their environmental impact? And kind of looking at, okay, if you do make them homemade, what could be a potential business model? So ideally, the dream would be that we could locally see what kind of waste do I have and how can I make a conditioner out of that? That's a bit long-term ambition. So far, we're definitely not there yet, but we're going to keep addressing these points to make sure we get there.
Yeah, for a moment. Because Nienke did not use up all her time, I will allow one question for now. For each presentation, if things go well, and then we can still have more with a general discussion at the end. Anybody with one question?
Who will buy it? Is it the utilities, treatment plants, or who would buy the cell, or who would make it?
Yeah, that's part of the business model side that we're still thinking about. Like, this could be like on an NGO level, for example, but of course you need like a dedicated person or entity to do it. It could be like a startup business that focuses only on conditioner production and then sells it locally. But this is still something that needs some further thought. Might also differ across the world where, like, what is locally most suitable.
There's a second.
Is that possible?
No. Lest people think I'm not a man of my word. But I encourage you, please. I encourage you, please take note of that question, and we shall definitely have time after it, and you will come fast when we ask questions. So that's a promise that you can take to the bank. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Nienke, for that presentation. And of course, we still have a lot of work to do to figure out the business models. I'm interested in that very much. But right now, we are going to head to the nation of Bolivia, where Lourdes is going to be telling us about the experiences in Palo Alto, El Alto. Where did I say Palo Alto?
No.
My mind is a little bit further north, and I need to descend a little bit south. Okay, about nutrient recovery and sustainable production, and hopefully maybe something has been dealt with regarding business models in this case. We'll find out soon.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, good afternoon. My English is not so fluid, so I'm going to read my notes. So we going to see the nutrients recovery and the reuse. So the phosphorus is not a renewable resource. You know that phosphorus is crucial for agriculture, as it's an essential component of fertilizer that promotes crop growth. So rock phosphate reserves, the main source of phosphorus, are declining, and in the future, availability of phosphorus is severely compromised worldwide. Because the reserves also of this element are in mines and have been alarmingly reduced and are concentrated in a few countries. No? Luckily, I have 10 minutes. So phosphorus extraction continues at its current rate of approximately 24 million tons per year. There will be supply problems from 2030 onwards. In the near future, once phosphorus reserves are exhausted, the only alternative left for living beings to continue to supply themselves with this element will be through its natural recycling. Next. So the good news is that we can recover more than 90% of the phosphorus contained in human urine by implementing technologies that prevent phosphorus from being diluted in water, like ecological sanitation technologies. So NPK is a term that refers to the three fundamental elements in fertilizers: nitrogen, phosphorus, P, and potassium, K. So phosphorus is essential for photosynthesis, respiration, and energy storage and transfer. Nitrogen is responsible for encouraging the growth of the plant's leaves and stems. And potassium is key to water regulation within the plant. Therefore, the presence of these elements in manure and fertilizers can significantly impact the growth and development of the plants. Next. So the Alto Plateau is located in the department of La Paz and involves in Bolivia and involves the municipalities of El Alto, Laja, Chacollo, like 4 municipalities, and has an estimated population of 800,000 inhabitants for the year 2019. So the Alto Plateau, as of December 2018, had a drinking water coverage of 93% and in sanitation coverage of 78%, with sanitation solutions that have been applied in greater proportion than conventional sanitary sewer system. No? In order to achieve greater sanitation coverage, like peri-urban areas, dispersed areas, complicated topography, it was necessary for the Public Social Water and Sanitation Company, EPSAS, to visualize alternative sanitation solutions and develop capacities to offer solutions. So decentralized sanitation solutions such as septic tanks, dry ecological toilets, decentralized wastewater treatment plants, and fecal sludge treatment plants. They are also sustainable by having a scheduled sludge collection services and its adequate treatment and final disposal. But in the Alto Plateau, there was already a sustainable sanitation project from 2007 and 2019, implemented by NGO Sumawasi with Swedish Embassy. So 1,100 families have ecological toilets in these districts, 3 districts in the city of El Alto. During 12 years of operation of this sanitation model, it was identified that they needed a sustainable management model through the chain, from the collection, transportation, treatment, and final disposal of the waste generated in the ecological toilets to guarantee the continuity of this decentralization solution. The intervention considered a sustainable model with the participation of the Swedish Embassy as the program financer, Aguatuya, responsible for the implementation and training in the solution, Public Social Water and Sanitation Company, EPSAS, as the institution responsible for the service, and the beneficiaries from the Alto Plateau have access to safe sanitation through the service we recover nutrients. The action. The action was a collection and transportation service for feces and urine from ecological toilets was implemented, ensuring continuity and sustainability. An adequate treatment system for urine and fecal sludge from dry ecological toilets was implemented through a treatment system for urine and fecal sludge. Train EPSAs, technical staff in operation and maintenance of the feces and urine treatment plant, and communicate to the population the action to improve the sanitation service by EPSAs with a green company approach. And next. The service continually is generated through sustainability through the sanitation service chain. No more, sorry. Okay. The first link in the chain plays key role, which is why it's important to schedule and complete these established time and days. So information and communication to beneficiaries is important to avoid failure in the delivery and collection of generated waste. The plant has a fermentation treatment, the line 1, which was used before the implementation of the urine adsorption treatment, the line 2. So this type of treatment consists of receiving urine in tanks and storage for 2 weeks. Then urine is pumped to another storage tanks for 3 months for fermentation and sanitation. And finally, it's pumped into storage tanks for final disposals as liquid fertilizers that must be diluted with water for application. But the disadvantage of this option, storage and treatment process cost, liquid transport cost, unpleasant odors during the storage, rapid decomposition, risk in inaccurate application, and others. Next. So the option 2, adsorption, is the new treatment plant. Storage urine no more than 1 week to avoid use of nitrogen, filling the tanks, preparation and additive, all this flow, that sequence. Next. So the advantage of a solid product that we obtain is easy to storage and transportation. It takes up less space. It's easy to store, and there are a reduction of odors, make the fertilizer easier to handle and apply, greater stability and longevity without degrading or losing effectiveness, precision in the application, and greater acceptances by farmers. No? Next. Characteristics. The results show an inconsistency in the analysis of potassium. However, the records an average recovery of 91% of phosphorus and 10% of nitrogen. No? In subsequent monitoring analysis, the recommendation was to investigate laboratory that have a state-of-the-art equipment for measuring better nitrogen and potassium. Next. Fertilizer production cost. Here is the plant was put into operation in August 2023 and will only complete 1 year of operation this August. So we will have monitoring the studies to do show more results. And conclusions. So the implementation of this type of model projects with sustainable sanitation service to the change, which also have a closing of the nutrient cycle, demonstrate that this type of solutions are possible and highly the importance of the paradigm shift. For you to live in a sustainable way of the planet. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we just have 1 minute for one question. Yeah, so that we can discuss and we can have that paradigm shift. Any question? Okay. Yes.
It's all right. I can see. No, it's really nice to see. I visited those Eawag-Sandec toilets, I think 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. what I saw was that households are converting to regular toilets sometimes. So what is in for it for households? What are the incentives for households to keep that EcoSan toilet? Are there any monetary incentives or savings or any?
Yes, there are a social tariff, and because in the sector that we have this EcoSan, also the sewer is coming, no?
Yeah.
So the tariff is it's a social tariff, like 15 Bolivianos, something like that. Not like now it's $1. So that's one, and the other that the peri-urban are really growing so fast. So now the institution in charge of this system is EPSAS, that is the municipality service, sanitation service. So they are offering this kind of service to this population that is growing in the peri-urban areas.
Just to reply maybe on that support.
I have also visited these toilets for a couple of years. But Lourdes, I just want to know, is there always water in the normal sewage
Madeleine,
pipes?
can we take that question? Yeah, I thought it was the comment or response. It's a question that we take
Yeah, I did.
later.
Also visited.
5 seconds. Kim, 5 seconds.
No, I just want to say, I think in El Alto, these are really transitory system, and they're like kind of recognized as that today. As she's saying that the network is extending, but it doesn't keep up with the development of new settlements. But in other parts of Bolivia, then you see it as actually a solution. It's in the municipal planning that they will have this type of system, but in El Alto, it's more transitory, I would say, today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lourdes. And yes, we can have more questions at the end if we still have more time. Okay, great. And there's even a video, but of course, everyone, and I think there was also a comment there. But fortunately, it's on the record for the SuSanA community. So anyone who is asking about presentations, yes, they will be available, as is the usual SuSanA practice. So yeah, you can enjoy the content for posterity. Okay, so next we are going to have Linus Dagerskog telling us about tools for implementing rural RRR. So he will start by telling us what RRR stands for.
I see in the schedule there is someone from the US online first.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what.
No, it's yeah, the updated program has you coming first and then the US. Are you ready?
I know I have 5 to 10 minutes. So I opted for 10.
I recommend that you tend towards 5. Otherwise, then we'll have no questions. Yeah, then we'll have no questions.
Okay, I know I have to shift this, I'll do it myself. So RRR, resource recovery and reuse, and no surprise that I'm standing here talking about that. Maybe no surprise it's about Burkina, and maybe no surprise Clean and Green Village framework could have been on display before, but we have a couple of tools that we have published that I want to go through with you. Why rural productive sanitation? Why is it important? And now we're not talking about, collection service, treatment station, etc. It's like rural people on household basis, on-site sanitation, and people who actually cultivate and need nutrients locally. So it's like short circuit that you yourself manage. And we have 600 million family farms worldwide. Most of them are small, 95% below 5 hectares. And even though the world is urbanizing, there's still a lot of rural people around, and for sub-Saharan Africa, 60% rural, and in sub-Saharan Africa, 22% are undernourished, 20% access to safely managed sanitation, 25% roughly open defecation. There's still a lot of work to do on sanitation and hygiene, right? But can we do this without undermining the local nutrient, water, organic matter cycles? That would be beneficial for smallholder farmers, and at least if they can have the choice, the knowledge, the capacity to make that choice if they want to go for safe, productive reuse of local wastes. So that's the the objective of my work is to see how can we enhance and facilitate such closing the loop. And then we have developed this framework called Clean Green Village. It's a 3-layer cake going from stage 0, baseline, we have poor risk and resource management, towards a fast or quick stopping openification, maybe through this CLTS approach, and then taking the next step towards more comprehensive risk and resource management. The risk management on the left, both on household and institution public areas, where you manage not only human waste, but also maybe animal waste, better food hygiene, solid waste, grey water, etc. And on the green side, can we make sure that the resources in these different flows are managed productively and safely? And I know that on the risk management side, there's been a lot of great work developed over the last few years, especially the case in Kenya, and I think also in Philippines, East Timor by UNICEF, USAID, etc. They're doing great progress on that. Still not so much progress on resource management, also in these new protocols. So that's where I focus now. Going to practice in Burkina with WaterAid and OVIV. WaterAid had a huge program, 700 villages going for ODF through CLTS, and we had 3 of those villages that we could pilot the Clean and Green framework once they were ODF, which took quite a while. So you see the procedure, it was 8 steps, baseline study, and then ending openification. That was achieved 2022. So we had 1 year of adding on the Clean and Green approach. It was about triggering on waste resources, sensitization and training on managing these risks and resources, and then options for improving the waste flows and the management. And it wasn't a push of like one solution, but you can see, for example, urine and feces options. You have the UDDT variant. Maybe you collect the urine, maybe it goes directly to a compost. Maybe you have a double vault VLP or 2 pit latrines or an arbolou. But those that don't collect urine might have a urine on the side to get the urine back into the loop. And same for grey water, livestock urine, organic waste and ash, etc. But you also need to know how to do the actual recycling, and there was trainings on urine and feces trials on recycling, but without water, it doesn't grow well. So also soil and water conservation was included.
Yes.
Yes. Monitoring, both clean side and green side. Was that the 10-minute?
2 minutes.
Is that the 10-minute one? This is still to be tested IRL, the monitoring progress. I'll go through that soon. And then finally, it would be some kind of recognition or certification for achieving clean and green. So we published 3 reports. The 3 first ones are more general, 1 in English, 1 in Spanish with Bolivia focus, 1 in French with Burkina focus, and 2 more in French, resource flow mapping and the monitoring framework. The resource flow mapping is an important tool, can be used both for diagnostic, sensitization, raising awareness on the local agri-sanitation cycle and kick up the interest. It works like this. We have the household and the animals that we all care for. Nature produces what you need in terms of food, fodder, fuel, fiber, water. And then we do consume and use all these resources, and they generate wastes. And the wastes generation are in the green circles. And then what happens to all these wastes? The community maps them out. It can look like this, messy, but still clear. So the red dots symbolize weaknesses, what is not reused, and that's the basis of discussion then. What are the barriers for better recovery and reuse of those waste resources? Are there existing solutions that are traditional? What do you think about innovative solutions? And based on that, we take the next step. And the monitoring framework would be one way to follow progress. We take the green side of things. We have 7 components. Animal and human excreta, organic waste, wood ash, and grey water in Burkina. And the importance is to look at the quantity. Are we collecting enough of it? Is it safely done? Is it efficiently applied in agriculture?
Okay.
And for urine, it could look like this, like 6 different indicators that we work through. And the perspective is we need to test this more IRL, the monitoring framework. We need to pursue activities in Burkina. We love to adapt and pilot in other settings. But in Burkina, CDOT pulled out last year, so there's no phase 2. So anyone of you with money who wants to work, I'm happy to talk here. Or no money and just want to talk. That's fine.
Right. Yes, and unfortunately, because we had a few comments with internal exchange and sharing of time across the CI, so we are not going to have a question for now because we have entered into the time for our colleagues from the Rich Earth Institute. So it's because of because of that. But yeah, we're going to have time for Q&A after. That's the good news. Yeah, I deliver the bad news first and then the good news afterwards to end on a good note. But thanks a lot, Linus. And yes, as I mentioned, anybody who is interested to talk about that or interested in underwriting phase 2, please reach out. Okay, colleagues, we're going to have Bryan Horsley telling us about urine diversion for nutrient pollution control with experiences from Cape Cod in the US. And Bryan is supposed to be online. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Is it possible for you to put on your camera by any chance?
Yes.
If it's okay with you, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it's also fine to go with audio. But
Yep.
great. And yes, you can take it away. I can change the slides on your behalf. Yeah, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be on an international discussion here and tell you guys what we're up to here on Cape Cod related to urine diversion. So first, I'll give a quick introduction. I work for the Massachusetts Alternative Septic System Test Center, or MASTC. We're a division of the Barnstable County Department of Health and Environment, so our local county government. Our county consists of 15 towns located on the peninsula of Cape Cod, pictured. We have a population of around 230,000 people, with about 4 million annual seasonal visitors, summer tourists mostly. So, I like to think, people are essentially, loving this place to death. It's a beautiful environment, spurring about 65 miles out to the ocean, but our combination of our development practices and our wastewater management practices are resulting in really widespread water quality degradation, both in marine waters and in our many freshwater lakes and ponds. So the test center where I work was developed about 25 years ago to test and to provide a testing facility really for these innovative nutrient removing septic systems that we focus on. Although more recently, interest has grown in the concept of ecological sanitation and especially urine diversion as an alternative approach to get these nutrients out of our wastewater stream before they cause more degradation in the environment. So the vision for urine diversion here on Cape Cod, it's really in its early phases. We're pilot testing the idea at this point, but our future vision is modeled after what the nonprofit Rich Earth Institute has implemented in Brattleboro, Vermont, where they have a group of hundreds of urine people who are actively collecting urine and diverting urine from the waste stream, where it's being brought to a central facility and processed and then redistributed to local farmers as fertilizer. So that's the vision we're looking to explore here on Cape Cod. So next slide, please. Yeah, so nutrient pollution is really, the leading environmental issue here on the Cape. Obviously, climate change is also a concern with, warming waters and nutrient-enriched waters. It's sort of this positive feedback loop where we're seeing many of our lakes and ponds turn bright green like this with harmful cyanobacteria blooms. And we're also seeing, large mats of algae, choking out oxygen in our marine environment. We typically think of nitrogen being the main limiting nutrient in our marine waters, where phosphorus is typically the limiting nutrient in our fresh waters. And we've identified the primary source of these nutrients entering the environment coming from our on-site septic system. So that's what the photo on the left shows. This is a typical setup for a house on Cape Cod, where all the wastewater is collected in a septic tank and then basically released into our sandy soils via a leaching field. And the sandy soils do a great job of getting rid of water, but the downside is that they don't provide really any treatment to remove those nutrients. So nutrients readily make it through the soil into the groundwater and then eventually into either our surrounding marine waters or our lakes and ponds. We've had a recent regulatory update from our state regulatory agency, which we call the Massachusetts DEP, and they have basically started holding towns accountable for the water quality degradation we've seen, and have identified what they call nitrogen sensitive areas where basically all the towns on the Cape are on the hook to develop wastewater management plans or comprehensive watershed management plans to manage the nutrient inputs. So next slide, please. So this just shows, this map here shows basically the current status of wastewater management on the Cape. The black areas are the sewered areas, so you can see it's very minimal. And the brown areas are the areas that are reliant on what we call Title V septic systems, or sort of conventional septic systems. So that just shows sort of the scale of the problem and how much of the area relies on on-site wastewater treatment versus central treatment through sewering. As the regulatory requirements have increased recently, towns are scrambling to figure out how to manage the nutrients, and sewering seems to be the preferred approach, although it's very expensive. It costs around $100,000 per parcel is the best estimate I've heard, and is just not feasible across the entire peninsula of Cape Cod. So here at the test center, we are looking at these enhanced nutrient removing IA septic systems. But in addition to that, I mentioned we're looking at urine diversion as a viable alternative that may be significantly lower cost, and then also with the added benefits of water conservation and nutrient recovering opportunities. So next slide, please. So just last year, we were involved in a pilot project looking at urine diversion along with the nonprofit group called the Green Center. We considered this to be an informal urine diversion project in that the urine was collected using these devices pictured on the right. These are called QBs. These were developed by the Rich Earth Institute. And what happened with this project is we got 41 households to collect urine using these devices for a period of 2 months. And we measured the volume of urine collected and the nutrients collected. Through that 2-month period, we collected about 1,000 gallons of urine, on average about 30 gallons per household. And the nutrient content that we pulled out of those watersheds was very impressive. And if we sort of extrapolated the data that we collected, we found that the nutrient removal rate using this simple informal urine diversion method collected upwards of 4.4 kilograms of nitrogen per year per home, which for comparison is basically the target that towns are looking at removing with sewering per parcel. So it showed that even informal urine diversion could make a really significant impact in our water quality problems. So next slide, please.
2 minutes.
Okay. This is actually my last slide, so that's perfect. So this is where we're at currently looking at urine diversion. We are working with the town of Falmouth, which is pictured on the map there. And we are looking to develop a more formal pilot project, working with a team of, including the town of Falmouth, including the Rich Earth Institute, another nonprofit called Nutrient Networks, and another group called Point of Shift, and then also someone at the University of Michigan. And we're looking at how urine diversion can fit within our existing regulatory framework. Currently, urine diversion is illegal in the eyes of our regulators because they view it as black water, and it according to the regulatory requirements, needs to be disposed either through septic systems or sewers. So really the work that we're conducting in this project is to work with those regulators to identify regulatory pathways to allow the collection and, eventually the reuse and fertilizer, application of urine. We also don't have any approved toilet fixtures here in Massachusetts. So we're working with our state plumbing board to try to approve these type of split bowl urine diverting toilets, or even, waterless urinal fixtures. So yeah, that's essentially where we're at. And I think I'll end it there, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, great.
Actually, I had one additional slide with my contact info on it there.
Okay. Yes. Over to that. Thank you very much, Bryan, for a very insightful presentation. And we are going to have a Q&A session, but we'll start with the first question going to Bryan. Anybody with a question for Bryan? Start with. Okay, Martin, raise first, and then we'll come to you.
I don't need that. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank Bryan because thank Linus and Lourdes as well. It's really important that we're looking at nutrient recycling, and there's a lot of people working on this who are frustrated that it's not getting the exposure it needs in our sector. It's really important. And then I think that's why it's important to hear something from Bryan from a high-income country that is struggling with this issue, and we're all going in that direction with our current trajectory of sanitation. So Bryan, thank you for that, and the fact that you're at the cutting edge and pushing the boundary on research and approaches. And a lot of this is about advocacy. You mentioned the standards. We were talking earlier about regulation and the importance of policy and regulation for doing things differently. So you've hit that nail on the head as well. So just to thank all three of you for that work.
Great. Thanks a lot, Martin. Over to you, Dorothy.
Yeah, thank you. I have a related kind of question. So in Switzerland, you also do have such systems. At Eawag, for instance, I have one at home. And now, yeah, nothing different, but anyway, that's another story. But no, we don't have an issue with the urine for our legislation. We do have also technology to produce fertilizer from urine with the Buna technology. I guess you know these guys. But we have the issue with the black water part, because in Switzerland, it was one of the first countries that banned sewage sludge use in agriculture, which I think it's a great thing because of many other issues. But now the feces part is considered as a special waste and has to be burned somehow. So we founded also an organization that is working on advocacy work, doing awareness raising, and now we're at the stage that we want to go into the work, providing not only doing advocacy work, but also start providing guidance and work with authorities to develop standards. So I wanted to kind of see if you have a few tips how to do that best. Or, I mean, the legal situation and institutional frameworks are different in the US, but still maybe I have a few ideas to share because it could be relevant for other countries too.
Okay. Over to you, Bryan.
Yeah, and it's a very challenging issue here. I mentioned that the Rich Earth Institute has successfully, figured out the regulatory framework in the state of Vermont. So it's, in the US, it's a state by state issue. And so, we're talking with our regulators here in Massachusetts, although it's a completely new thing for them, that we've identified that the word urine doesn't even exist in any of the regulations. And so, we're really trying to create a new pathway here. And, sort of the challenge that we're in the midst of right now is that, they're trying to compare, or we're trying to figure out how to account for the nutrients removed in urine diversion. And we would like them to, basically just measure the nutrient load removed with the urine, right? The volume times the concentration. And if we can show that we're removing that from the watershed, we think that the towns should be able to achieve credit for that toward their regulatory requirements. But it's not that simple, because all of the current wastewater management nutrient accounting is based on models that are widely inaccurate. And so we're really up against this sort of existing regulatory framework that it is not suitable for urine diversion. So it's an uphill battle, but we have our next meeting with our state regulators this coming Tuesday, and we're hopeful that we're making progress in identifying those pathways. So I don't know if that helps.
Okay, super. Thank you, Brian, for those tips. Dorothy's shaking her head. Is it
No,
helpful?
I
or-
could now start telling stories, but I don't.
Okay,
we don't have
yeah.
time for that.
Okay, yeah, we'll have the stories and coffee break at some point afterwards. We want to wrap this up in 5 minutes. If that is possible, to allow us have one question each for Nienke, Lourdes, and Linus, that would be very great.
I have a question for Nika.
Yes, please,
That's
Linda,
right.
go ahead.
No.
If I had a very specific, I had a very specific question, so
Yes, please.
somebody has a more detailed.
Yes, is that for Nienke? Or-
All right, my
anyone.
question, my very specific question was, are you familiar with Organico, which is added to toilets? It is a supplement added to toilets in Ghana and now widely adopted and reducing the accumulation of sludge. No. We can talk more.
Hey, great. Send your contact. Okay, we'll go to Madeline.
Yeah, I have one question for all three of them. Linus doesn't have to say so much because I know. Okay, Linus, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I really want to know, how is the collaboration with the agriculture sector? Because I am in the agriculture sector and I hear a lot about black soda fly there, but it's never connected to sewage or sanitation and that kind of waste and so forth. So when we talk about reuse and resources, so where is the connection and where can we improve it somehow? I think it's super important because those are the clients. Now we are in an emergency situation. Even in Sweden, we are looking at what kind of fertilizer should we have because we are so dependent on Russia, but this discussion is lost because it's mining and for mining or whatever, but this kind of, it's not even here. So yeah, that was a question for all of you.
Okay, any of the speakers wants to take a stab at this? Lourdes, do you want to try? Well, I'm volunteering on your behalf. Yes,
And responding to Madeleine.
yeah.
So in the experience in El Alto, the EPSAs are using the product in the green areas because the municipality also irrigate the areas, right? The green areas of the city. And it's because also they are not producing a lot of product yet, no? So maybe the second phase is gonna be to do this alliance and this coordination with this sector, agriculture sector, but we have to offer a sufficient product to the sector, right? So now is not the right moment. Yeah.
Okay, I see a question from Chris online. Any steps like lining the leachate tanks to capture nutrients before discharging into the wetlands? Chris, is that directed to any of the speakers or is it general, like Madeline?
Church.
Okay, this is to Brian. Brian, do you have any response to this? A quick response to Chris's question in the chat? Brian, are you still with us? Oh, yes. I see you
Yes, the question about liming.
Yes, please.
I have heard of that as a treatment process. I'm just trying to read the question here. Yeah, I think, my understanding in terms of treatment for reuse is, pasteurization, I think is the method that the Rich Earth Institute is using for the most part. I personally don't have experience experimenting with liming.
Okay, thank you for that comment. 1 minute for one final question. And as you think through the questions, I will read a comment here from Remy about an interesting black soldier fly from Famous Large Experience from Synergy in Kenya, but also Liquid Gold, which is doing resource recovery from urine in South Africa and it's selling really well. Final question in the room online. Great, then we'll end it here with a comment from Stefan about the Swiss urine diversion toilet from Latin. And yeah, he has shared a link to that. So if you're interested, you can follow that up to get more about that. So a round warm applause for our.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, so I have exciting news. Just in, we're at the last session before the breakout or the mingle, whichever one you're going to. But it's a doozy. We got a lot of presentations, so we're gonna get right to it. We're gonna call up Sareen, please.
Thank you, John.
And you got the unenviable task, like Martin, of a lot of like espresso conversations. Good luck.
The graveyard shift. Here we go. Hi, everyone. So I'm Sareen Malik from Kenya, Executive Secretary for the African Civil Society Network, Vice Chair of SWA, and Board Member for SEWAS, and an acknowledgement to all our members and partners here and online. Okay, so John said, Sareen, you only have an hour and it's super tight. So I am going to ask everyone to keep it short and straight to the point. Please. As Southerners, we love to talk and listen to the sound of our voices. So, all right. Okay, to start off, I'm going to keep mine super short. So, South-South dialogue. Look, I think one of the biggest successes that the SuSanA platform has had is really bringing this South-South dialogue to life. There's always a demand actually from Southern partners that we actually don't talk to each other enough. And yet our contexts are somewhat similar, our problems are somewhat similar, and there is an acknowledgement that we can really learn quite a bit from each other because we are closer to each other in terms of the issues that arise. All right, without further ado, an introduction on the Africa chapter. I think Chaiwe this morning did a pretty good job in terms of showing us what was going on the forum, but probably the biggest success was the, not to use the word absorption, because that's a bit much, but piggybacking on a giant like the African Union Commission, AMCAO, on their knowledge hub to put SuSanA over there and have them take it up. This, to a certain extent, of course, mitigated any competition, made sure that we were opening the continent to pretty much everyone, but also having such a platform acknowledged and recognized by state actors, in this case, member states in about 54 countries. So that is still work in progress. It's something that we're, yes, they've finally taken it up. The information sharing has started. And this is work that we'll probably be continuing. There's been discussions that we'll probably have our forums that, of course, fit and are aligned to what SuSanA is doing. But I do want to remind us the reason why the SuSanA Africa chapter was also established. It was, for one, to raise the visibility on gender issues, women, and what was going on, and to try and find solutions and to share and to learn and really to amplify those issues. And the second one was actually to talk about our successes, yes, but also our failures, because we did recognize on the continent that there was a need to equally talk about where things didn't quite work out and share that with the world. So that is a bit where we stand on that front. We have two sessions that we're going to be sub-sessions that we're going to be looking at. So networks and partnerships. I think this is really critical because if I were to take the case of the SuSanA Africa chapter, its success, one of the key ingredients was networks and partnerships. We were not going to do this in isolation. And the second one is publications, communication, universal languages, which will be rounded off by George. Yeah, problem. You know, okay.
I'm just going to put the slide.
Oh, okay, the slide. Okay, wait. Which will be rounded up by George on how does this all make it into policy, which I think has been a discussion that has been coming up quite a bit. So, yeah, all right.
I'd like to first invite Lourdes Valenzuela, SuSanA Latin America. Lourdes, over to you. Please give her a big hand. You go for it.
Well, the last time I've been here was 2019, and it is not my presentation.
Yes.
Maybe here.
Okay.
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 Okay. So the aim of the Latin American regional chapter is to foster knowledge, production and regional, as well as social exchange of sustainable sanitation solutions, right? By replicating these best practices, we can contribute significantly to achieve SDG, 6. So I'm glad to see that this exchange is really success, because there are other institutions that can share the knowledge with us through the SuSanA. So I want to give you this translated document that SNV produced, and really is really helpful for Latin America. So this is the Spanish version. Okay. So I was encouraging also Alex to do the same with this catalog, but okay, I'm going to check this catalog to see if this technologies is similar in Latin America, and we can translate it also in Spanish to the region, right? Next slide, please. So the last time I attended the SuSanA meeting was in 2019, and during this event we conducted a SWOT analysis for SuSanA Latin America, and we identified the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the trends, as you can see. So next. So far, these are some of the results that we have been working. So in the strengths, we have compiled a list of sanitation experts to consult in chasing and enriching our discussion forum. So also we have published 4 case studies, and I bring all the studies are in Spanish, but I'm glad to live here in SAIT. We translate also the document of SNV, and we are looking for other synergies to do this kind of work and to get in Latin America all the technologies, sustainable technology that are developing in the world. And we have secured extended funding for SuSanA Latin America within the decentralized sanitation models in Bolivia program, because it's executed by Aguatuya until 2026. So in witness, at Latinosan 2022, we funded the presence of focal points, which fostered a greater commitment from them. And we also sponsors the attendance of several experts from here. And we facilitate the collaborative efforts among the focal point of Latinosan 2022. In opportunities, we have received funding from IDB through SGAT Foundation for 2023 and 2024, enable us to dedicate more time to moderating the discussion forum in some no me acuerdo el nombre, but the people says that will be a beneficiary if more people moderate the forum. So that is why we decided to get 3 people moderating the forum of SuSanA in Latin America. And we are part of the organizing team for the Latinosan 2025, set to take place in the Dominican Republic. And we aim to continue fostering the exchange space, which has gradually grown since our launch at Latinosan in Costa Rica 2019. Finally, in trades, the moderation funded by IDB is conducted in both English and Spanish, and I meant at promoting the use of the Spanish language. And we have translated the video tutorial on forum management into Spanish. You can find it in the library. And we're conducting a pilot of a WhatsApp channel. I met a municipal technician, community leader, and beneficiary of water of sanitation system. So the objective is to educate them about the benefits and involve them with the SuSanA platform. I think yes, so this is the focal point. I'm going to our networks and publication that I leave it here in the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think 2 examples of how SuSanA actually is an excellent model of decentralization, or the less preferred word, decolonization. It doesn't have to be controversial. It can be done in a clean and least upsetting way. All right, now next we are going to hear from WASH Women Networks and the Stronger Together initiative. Bettina, over to you. I know last year you said no men for the event, which had mixed reviews. So are you still maintaining that rule?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Over to you, Bettina.
Thank you. So yeah, I will give a short presentation on the Stronger Together coalition, and I hope most of you already know about it. But if not, I want to give you a small background on why do women networks even matter. So first of all, the barriers for women to make a lifelong and equal career compared to men in the water sector is still, they're very huge. So women have limited access to education, and then due to the limited access to education, but also due to other reasons, they have not the same career opportunities as men. And also, believe it or not, the recruitment processes are still biased. So as you can see in the graphic, actually in the water sector, 21% are women and 79% are men. So this really shows how much work there still needs to be done to have an equal gender balance. So women and young water professionals remain heavily underrepresented at all levels of formal WASH jobs, but also at decision-making positions. So this is also something we need to work on. So what are actually what is the role of women networks in this to empower women? First of all, they can connect women from local to global. They can create safe spaces for women to exchange the problems, the barriers they have with each other. They give a welcoming learning environment by women for women. A good example for this is in the beginning of the year, Agenda for Change, which are part of the coalition as well. They had a WASH women mentoring program. So that's going to happen also probably next year again, if someone of you wants to be part of it as well. So fostering peer learning is also really important, and to advocate women in water and sanitation jobs. So what can we do to strengthen women, but also women networks in that sense? So the 3 R's are really important. Within GIZ, we work with them a lot because we work for female empowerment. So first of all, strengthen the resources. So to give women networks actually financing structures that they can use. But also women in general, but also enable representation of women, for example, at conferences like the World Water Conference. So finance travels for women in the Global South to actually come here to attend the Stockholm World Water Week, because finances are most of the time not there or funds for them. And also strengthen the rights so that women are actually represented at roundtables and decision-making processes. So what is the Stronger Together coalition actually doing? We unite women in the water and sanitation sector through mingle and networking events. So since 2022, we always have a mingle at the World Water Week here in Stockholm. Also in 2023, so last year, we had a mingle in New York with the UN conference, water conference. Also, we had a virtual Water Women's Day last year, and this year we already had a mingle at the World Water Forum in Bali, and even the German ambassador came. So we are very proud of that. And also, if you didn't hear about it yet, we're also going to have another mingle on Tuesday. It's women only, so sorry for the man in the room. And we are already at our capacity to join in person. So I hope all of you already signed up. But if not, we also have an online version. So if that's of your interest, that is still happening and without capacity cap. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bettina, on that. And in fact, yes, this issue is so critical because recently there's this massive organization that was talking about gender, but when we asked them how many of the 17 board members were women, 0. A lot of work to be done. Yep. All right. Yeah. Next, and I'm not naming names. Everybody knows who they are. SWOPs sanitation strategy. I'd like to welcome Asa Jonsson. Is she online? Ah, thank you, Asa.
It should be on your Alex.
It is just run the slide. It's the next one.
Needs Alex.
It needs Alex. Yes. It's you. Oopsie. Yeah, I don't have the power. This is the limit of my IT skills.
Click the mouse there, yeah, on the slide.
Okay. And hopefully just, yeah. Now we
And that this, I press.
Yeah, if you're more comfortable with
Yeah,
that, rather than
okay.
being interrupted by
Yeah.
X.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here. My name is Asa Jonsson. Stockholm is my hometown, but I'm based in Bonn, heading the Global Water Operator Partnership Alliance, which some of you may be familiar with. We are a global alliance that today proudly has more than 150 institutional members, and we're celebrating 15 years this year. So I want to give you the very quick espresso introduction to what we're doing when it comes to South-South partnerships. It just as a quick sort of framework of GWOPA is more known for doing what we're calling water operator partnerships, but more and more we are called upon and see our responsibility also to work on sanitation partnerships. And of course, what we see with both sanitation and water as utilities is such a need to strengthen capacity in many different areas. So I've been very interested in attending the whole day today, hearing about all the different innovations, technologies, etc. What we're working on is the capacity of the staff and the management in the utilities in terms of how they work, whether it's in terms of the governance, the coordination, technical expertise across the whole range. And of course, more and more also when it comes to climate responses. We have a strategy. Maybe this is too small to scan, but I can share with you, and I think you can have access to it. We launched the sanitation strategy last year, and we are committed as an alliance to fundraise and support the understanding of how to do more and more sanitation-focused operation partnerships. About 20% of the WOPs that we have in our database and in our network are already focused on sanitation. And in the UN Water Conference last year, we made a commitment, a pledge, to increase at least 100 WOPs by 2030. And this sanitation strategy commits us that 35 should be focused on sanitation. And in order to do that, we really need to learn much more together with partners on how to do those efficiently. Whoops. Okay. What are SWOPs? I'm not going to have time to unpack here. Read the sanitation strategy. And we're also going to have an expert group meeting in Cairo in November to really get much more meat on the sanitation strategy. We'll be happy to share that through all these networks. But basically, it's a not-for-profit peer-to-peer partnership between service providers in a long-term arrangement, usually over 2-3 years. We call it eye-to-eye level strengthening of capacity between, we're not always comfortable with the language, between a mentor and a mentee, for lack of better terminology, utility, where utilities to utilities share expertise. Now, in the last minute or two I have, why South-South partnerships? Sometimes Our alliance is associated quite a lot with the enabling utility being based in the north. This is part of the work that we do that we very much appreciate and work with. Thank you, and continue to do. At the same time, we are realizing how much benefit there is of working with South-South partnerships, and we're really encouraging that more and more in the model of what we do. I think you've already mentioned most of the, reasons why we would work like that, and GWOPA is very committed to increasing the work we do with South-South partnership model, including in decolonizing the knowledge bases that we have around how these partnerships work. There was one slide missing, but that's fine. It's shorter. I also just want to frame it. We're hosted by the UN, by UN Habitat, and the UN itself has a South-South partnership strategy that was launched in 2020, and that is also for us very much in our mandate of working more South-South. How do SWOPs look like? This is just a very brief snapshot. Of course, it's quite complicated. We find it more complex in the sanitation sector than in water, because of the bigger variance in terms of the actors involved often in the sanitation sector. Multi-actor partnerships will be the model that we're doing, and we are looking forward to sort of testing and collecting know-how more and more on the most efficient models for this. I just wanted to share 2 slides before I close on some examples of this. One of them is between a utility in Malaysia and Indonesia, where we're looking at fissile sledge management and building up SOP for doing that more effectively. And another one is in Kenya with Kiwasco. I was recently there visiting myself. Some very interesting work being done also at the South-South, level of capacity exchange in terms of setting up low-income units and improving the service delivery for the poor. And my time is up, and that's fine, because I'm going to say thanks, and I'm going to say anyone who is interested in our work, we have a gateway for collaboration that I'm happy to share, and we would really welcome you also to our assembly that will be in Cairo on the 3rd of November. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for as Minka Park. Yes, excellent work. I do know it's mostly because of GWOPA that most of the utilities in Kenya even mainstream the pro-poor. So no doubt you do have the power to transform these utilities. And yeah, well done. Well done. Excellent. Okay. Q&A. Dorothy. John.
You first then.
John.
Please,
gentlemen first. Go on.
Great presentation. Thank you. Do you have like a standard, capacity building type of curriculum, or have you embedded that into other structures? Yeah, maybe just talk a little bit about that aspect of utility support. Thank you.
Do I need the mic? No.
Sorry.
I don't think you need it.
You don't need it.
All right. So we have a lot of information. Our niche is on how to do these water operated partnerships. Many others are doing other parts of capacity. So we do have how to do a WOP type manual. What we don't have yet is so much experience and tested know-how how to do sanitation focused water operated partnership, but that's forthcoming work for us. That's in our new strategy. That's part of the sanitation strategy that we do as well. And this expert group meeting is just one of the many milestones to refine that further. And we're very excited. We've got some funding from within the UN to do some sanitation related partnership work in 3 countries in Asia next year, in Cambodia, Nepal, and Laos. So we're building up more knowledge on this.
Okay, excellent. Dorothy?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I had the chance to learn about GWOPA through your colleagues, Julie and Anne in New York. And I actually then attended also one of these conferences in Bonn. In Switzerland, we're at the beginning of these partnerships because we have a different legal situation. We have 2. One is Lausanne Naukshot that works now very long, similar ideas. And it combines water and sanitation. So it's just about, I mean, building up the capacity for both. So I wonder if that, why you separate it, probably because it's so specific in the South-South exchange, it would make things too complex. Because I also know for the water part, you have this online portal with capacity development tools.
So just back to the information material we have. Yes, we have a portal. I'm trying to be very short in my answers, but we also have communities of practice, and we also have a database because we host information around all types of water operator partnerships happening globally, not just those implemented by our secretariat and partners. So there's quite a bit of resources. Why do we see them separately? I'm not sure if SuSanA is online. She's leading our sanitation work and feels very strongly around the fact that the work on strengthening the capacity of sanitation utilities requires sometimes different modalities, in particular because usually there's more sectors involved in doing that delivery of work. So that's the main argument.
Anybody? I can see that online, Jaime has said it makes complete sense to have this kind of separate networking opportunity. Shouldn't even have to be justified. Then any other each for she. Okay. Any more questions? Just have one. If not, yeah, one more. Okay.
There's something in the chest that's very wrong.
Oh my. Okay.
There's a presentation.
Not sure there's a question in there, but.
Bettina-Sophie. So is the plan to like just keep it as like mingling and networking, or do you, and I know you participated in the what was it, the thing with Iris, with the Agenda for Change, the mentoring program. Is the idea to do more types of things, like maybe engage country level or anything to that extent?
I mean, if the funding would be there, I think everyone in the coalition would be happy to do it. But I think, especially now with the political situation changing towards right wing, it's very hard to put gender still on the agenda, even if it was very big now, and we still need to take the momentum with us. But I'm a bit afraid that this will change in the next years. So
not in my country, if I can do anything about it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, next, publications, communication, universal languages. So we're going to start off with Sanitation Market Development, curated material. Jess Mac Arthur from Water. Hello, Jess. How was your walk? They didn't lock you outside, huh?
No, it's good. Yeah, excellent. So hello, everyone. I don't think I need this. I'm extremely loud. If I do need it, let me know.
I think the
For online, even with online? Okay, super. So I'm Jess. I wear lots of hats. The hat I'm wearing at the moment, standing up here, is with Pro-Wash and Scale. Next slide. So what is Pro-Wash and Scale? If you're not aware of this program, this is a project funded by USAID. It supports projects in sub-Saharan Africa primarily that are multi-sectoral. So multi-sectoral food security programs, including WASH, water resource management, smart livelihoods, ag, and natural resource management. I seem to sit on this side of the diagram more than this side. So under the previous award, Pro-Wash created a series of notes, studies, videos, training materials, all in market-based sanitation. Some of you may know this, and human-centered design. So the HCD for WASH website will be part of that. If you want to learn more about those, lots happy to discuss. So the HCD for WASH website, along with a toolkit on market-based sanitation that draws on a lot of pieces that you guys have worked on. Now, what are we doing now? So one of the things we're doing is clarifying the sanitation market diagram. Many of you guys have been working, I've seen the WASH Pals one, 3 layers of blue, or so, no, yeah, WASH Pals one, 3 layers of blue, USA 2018, if you've ever cited it or used it. So we're in the process of updating that. This is draft 2.7-ish. If you guys would like to talk to me, I would love your input. This is the whole idea behind doing and getting more voices is to do as much more south to south influence of the diagrams. We're pulling a lot of case studies. I've done lots of interviews. Thanks, John, for setting me up with great interviews with folks from all over the world, helping to influence this diagram even more and to make this stronger. So if you have any suggestions or ideas, If this is completely new to you and you have never seen this before, do not worry. Happy to talk to you about it at a different time, but this is the conceptual framework that's used globally, or hopefully will be used globally, for market-based sanitation. Two other places to watch this space. So there was a couple questions about capacity strengthening, and SanMarks 1, SanMarks 1 that Elise talked about SanMarks 2. So SanMarks 1 created a capacity strengthening course, a curriculum for WASH enterprises. This is years and years ago. Tailored in Bangladesh and Nepal, and now we're bringing it to the African context, and I've been working with my African colleagues to update it. And we would love to launch this with and pilot it in new contexts. So it's being worked on currently in Mozambique. We'll be having it in French. It'll be in Mozambique in Portuguese, Mali in French, and Ethiopia in Afanamoto, and Zimbabwe in English. So if you are interested in adding another context to that, we would love to continue piloting this. It is the beginning of a training program and coaching cohort mentorship for WASH enterprises. So these are small, maybe one guy or two people working together to sell toilets basically in rural communities. So that's one. If you would like to pilot or review those materials, please do let me know. We'd be happy to add you to the expanding list, but it's a good thing. Second is we are, oops.
Oh boy,
That's
sorry,
okay.
I promise I'm
No,
not.
no, you're good. I talk really fast too when I get nervous. All good. Second is practitioner focused. So first part is enterprise focused. Second half is practitioner focused. We're working with IRC to refresh the market-based sanitation course. If you've used this or seen it, we're again trying to get more case studies, more experiences, specifically from Francophone or Portuguese or Spanish-speaking countries. So if that is something that is interesting to you, please come and speak to me. Right now we have a lot of kind of English-focused countries. And then we'd love you to participate in the course and provide us feedback. The course will be broken into two. Part 1 will be available hopefully by October, and part 2 by the end of the calendar year. So really quick updates. We're working to update the space and to really bring more experiences from a lot more people into it. And we'd love to hear your voice in there as well.
Excellent, excellent.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Next, it's Remy, who is online. Remy, are you with us?
I am indeed. Hello.
Okay, excellent. So sector report for container-based sanitation. Over to you, Remy. I'm not sure how I'm doing the, okay, so I'm just the one who's doing this.
I can send control if that works any better.
Yes, please. That would be better.
Okay, just clicked it, should work now. Thanks a lot, everybody. Sorry to be online. I had planned to come and things have happened. I'm Remy, I'm the director of the Container-Based Sanitation Alliance, and this is a preview of something that's going to come up in a few months, and updating a bit where the container-based sanitation sector is at. So as a preview for sanitation enthusiasts, just going to go through a bit what we're going to talk about. One important thing for us is refining a little bit what we mean by container-based sanitation, because when I started this job about 2 years ago, I realized that, well, people mean a lot of things by that. And oh yeah, it's ecological toilets. Oh yeah, it's whatever this organization is doing in Ghana or in Kenya, etc. And really, we're putting the focus a lot more now on a service, not on the actual technology, but on the service. So small toilets that are frequently collected, and then with full chain management. But it doesn't have to be one organization doing everything. And it's important because people associate CBS with EcoSan or with urine separating toilets, and that's not necessarily true. It's majority do this, but it doesn't have to be. Instead, the point is it's small toilets, therefore it works where you can't dig. So did you try to say something? I hope the sound's coming clearly. So that's why it's been used a lot in informal settlements, in transitional areas, in flood-prone areas, basically in areas where you can't dig or where you're not allowed to dig. So to be clear, there's a lot of different technologies for the toilets themselves, from prefabricated to locally made, urine diverting or not, low flush or no flush, in-home versus superstructure. There's a diversity of transport and emptying and collection methods. The common point is that it's safe, and that's really, really the main common point between them. And there's a lot of treatments. Happy to give more details, but we are going to publish a bit more about that. You know, so black soldier fly, briquettes, biogas, compost, biochar, struvite. There's quite a lot that's being done with this, and on this, it's an area of active research. So the alliance now is about 15 organizations, and you know, on a variety of places, operating a lot in Africa, but also Latin America, Caribbean, and the UK as well, and the US. So it's interesting to see this being useful elsewhere as well. To be clear, CBS is tiny still. So 12 years after it started emerging more fully, it's still only, you know, if you include organizations that are not in alliance, it's probably about twice this, probably about 500,000 people served. It is very small, especially for something that we believe has a lot of potential. This being said, it's not about toilets being sold to people. This is about toilets served every week. Sorry?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. It's about, you know, people being served day after day and, well, week after week. So for a service that continues to exist, and especially it's one that isn't subsidized typically, that's still quite impressive, but we want it to grow. So a few trends that we've seen in the sector that I wanted to share. One of them is different modes of payments of financing the sector. So we've heard about carbon credits from Sanergy earlier, but others are getting climate finance, like soil. SuSanA is exploring this in Guatemala, and that's really because they're able to be very efficient, know what they produce, to have a lot of data as well, and that's very essential. Sanergy and soil are also getting results-based funding at the moment. And that's something we want to replicate as well. And again, that's because they can have very professional service. It's really somewhere I would like the whole sector, the whole non-sewer sanitation sector to move towards. Another trend that we're seeing is that there was a tendency from some organizations to go alone in this, and we don't go alone in sanitation. But what we see is that municipalities and utilities are increasingly interested, and that current operators are increasingly pitching this to utilities, to municipalities. So as I was presenting on the SWOPs is particularly interesting because there are some utilities out there that really want to advertise this to others. We've been developing quality standards as well for the city of Cape Town, which operates container-based toilets, chemical ones, but they want to improve. So we're seeing a lot of professionalization on new partnerships emerging. And to conclude, a few other trends that we are seeing, and the reason I'm putting this out is to see, well, is this aligning with what others are saying in the sector? Are there possible alignments and partnerships? The perception, many people see CBS as a transitional service option, and that's fine. So you were saying?
10 seconds.
Okay. So yeah, people saying CBS is transitional. That's absolutely fine. If people want to dream about sewers or about more permanent services, that's fine, but that can take years or decades to arrive. So CBS can be one option amongst others until we reach this. So that's a very interesting trend to see, and one that helps get municipalities and entities interested in this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Sorry for actually. Thank you very much, Henny, for demystifying quite a bit over there. All right, next I'd like to call Linda started Eawag-Sandec on fecal sludge management, the beginning or end of an era in terminology.
I am here, but I also pre-recorded my presentation.
Okay. You do want to do pre-recorded? But did you pre-record this morning?
Yeah. It's out there.
Oh, it's out there. Okay.
But I just wanted to say to Remy, I'm so sad that you're not here because I was looking forward to discussing this topic with you in person, especially at your apéro on Tuesday night. And you notice Remy even also started out his presentation by making a definition. So I think it's a really relevant and timely topic.
Thank you, Linda.
Amy, if you could give me the control back.
I can't give it to you, but you can click at the top, but take back control.
Yeah.
It's an empowerment approach, you see.
There's some.
So just if you missed the presentation, if there was no sound, just to promote our own products, the SuSanA news just came out and the text of my presentation is in there as an article. So don't worry if you missed it. Please join our discussion. It's also covered a bit more in my paper. And also in the SuSanA news are our guidelines for lime treatment of fecal sludge in humanitarian settings, which we didn't have time to talk about today. But if you join us Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we have a pub quiz in the booths, followed by an apéro with Swiss cheese.
Excellent. And if you want one of the SuSanA news, I have 4 left. I also have some here. Can those online hear me?
Remy can hear you.
No, Remy can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
can hear you.
Good. Excellent. Because we have a problem with the mic. All right. I'd like to call now George to come and tell us how it's done on a policy level. So George is my sparring partner on LinkedIn. We often fight about non-revenue water. He was mean to a member of parliament the other day. I did call her and read your stuff, and she did acknowledge she messed up and she should know better. George, over to you.
I'm working, no? I'm good. I'm working. So,
Now we haven't.
Don't worry, we haven't signed your sign yet, George.
Yep.
You're lucky. We know this a bummer.
Is someone joining and having the mic on?
No, it's
No, it's on. Battery's dead.
What about this one?
Okay, sorry.
Wow, the last
Okay.
But now we're back.
Log in one.
Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2. Can you hear us now? Okay.
Great.
Okay, so you can hear it now? Okay, start off.
All right, time starts.
Thanks, George. So, George Wainaina, today I want to talk about knowledge brokerage, which is what SuSanA does in one way or another, which is what every consultant in this room does in a different dimension, which is something every researcher who came here today is also doing, but it's what I do on a day-to-day basis. Going to talk about a few misconceptions that are there about knowledge brokerage. And I'm going to start with an overview of what I really do at SANDEC, for SANDEC and also for myself, because I cannot check out of the challenges of sanitation in the next, say, 50 years, because I'm a Kenyan. I live in Kenya a lot of my time. So knowledge brokerage at Eawag-Sandec seeks to synthesize, translate, disseminate, and get feedback and support uptake of WASH-related knowledge. And this is kind of the flow of what I do. Here, I only give some findings and some numbers only from one channel, but I use many other channels, including WhatsApp. This is from LinkedIn. Use other channels, including WhatsApp, including your newsletters. I don't make new channels. I decided that we probably have enough, and I need to make those ones also appear active. So I'm also on SuSanA in the forums once in a while. There are our resources there. I collaborate a lot also with Sean on other channels and other mailing lists that we are in. But the idea is to reach people where they are, not to make a new shop for them to come to. On the synthesis level, we try to come up with briefs. We try to come up with articles. We try to shorten long information, which is often complex for practitioners and policymakers. And we target to send this maybe to LinkedIn or to other partners in mailing lists 3 times a week. We are able to reach quite a big number, 1.2 million people in dissemination. This is figures for the last year only, the last 1 year. And we also engage a lot. So a lot of commenting, a lot of feedback, a lot of people saying, oh, this is nice, this is not nice. We could do better with this. And then I also take back the feedback from all these engagements and take them back to whoever produced the document or whoever produced the kind of science, or just to let them know that this is being taken up, this needs to be improved, or this can be changed. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to water sanitation and solid waste, because I have to know quite a lot of what is happening within there. So I go directly to the misconceptions, and because of time, and funny enough, everything is one, because there's no priority to these points that I'm going to but in real sense, that was a mistake. No. So because I might not finish all the points, I wrote the 10 points. There are 10 points, but if you read very quickly, this is going to be shared out here. So if I don't finish the points because of time, you can also take the slide and just read from there. But sometimes people think that synthesizing knowledge is easy, but it's very difficult because no one research paper stands alone. It stands in an environment of many others, and you have to talk to many people in different organizations to understand what is coming around. And therefore, synthesis is not as easy as people think. Now, people always think because I have this very nice paper, the practitioners are going to find it. That's wrong, they don't. So most of them don't. They will understand the language I wrote it in. I can tell you researcher English and practitioner English are very different in many levels. NGO English and research English, again, totally different. NGO English and utility, water utility English, totally different. So you always have to target the real people you want to talk to. Other people think that there is a gold standard dissemination platform. So there are people who say, oh, we operate on D groups. Well, it depends with who you want to reach. Therefore, you have to do your own research. And I liked the questionnaire that was sent in the morning. And you saw very well that SuSanA is competing with LinkedIn, for example. So if you want to reach practitioners, you go to where they are in the shop they're in. And if you want to reach sanitation, specifically sanitation practitioners, probably you want to go to SuSanA, for instance. But it's not about one or the other. It's about a combination of several that actually work for what you want to do. Sometimes you don't have to create a new channel. You can use what exists, especially if you. Oh. So that was but I want to focus on this last one that says, oh, I disseminate that, therefore it will be taken up. Uptake is never automatic. Never assume that, and you have to support people to actually take up some of the information, which is very similar to technologies for those who have worked in technologies. Now, just to finish up this, I like working with other people. So if you are a dissemination platform, I know we have worked a lot with Sean, also SuSanA, there's some of our content there. So if you're a dissemination partner, let's partner. I want to disseminate using channels. If you're practitioners, share feedback often. Researchers want to know whether what they are writing is their curiosity or is something that is helping you. So share your feedback, even if it's negative. Then funders, support people who are doing, this is me, support people who are doing knowledge brokerage. And the reason is because often this is something which is not always funded along the way, because the value is not always seen until you hear Sareen say that she read my posts and talked to the MP and the MP changed their stance. Yes. So thank you very much.
Very much, George, for that. All right, we're almost at the finish line. Q&A. Daughter.
You know what else? I have a question for the first, the graphic. Yeah, you have a no, so we will be. The quick one, yeah. So the graphic in the beginning, the 1.2 million, is that single count or is it kind of is per person fed? And then for the feedback, how technically, how do you synthesize the feedback to the author of the knowledge product?
To the author of the product, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 1.2 million, so LinkedIn, I only use statistics for LinkedIn. And for LinkedIn, this is, let's say you have a table outside and it has a document. So the figure that is given there is every time a person passes and is shown the document, that person is counted, whether once or twice. Yes. Feedback, synthesizing the feedback. Mostly the important feedback is usually, let's say you put it, for instance, on LinkedIn. The most important feedback is usually about 3 or 4 comments per dissemination. The rest is more like, oh, this is really nice, or this is good, and it is still feedback. And sometimes you don't get feedback because of the intention of dissemination. If the intention of dissemination was for people to see, then you want the number of impressions, the number it's shown to be high. You don't even need the feedback. But if the intention was to engage with people, then that's when you really go to the comments, read them, follow up on people, start forming ideas to corroborate on follow-up write-ups. And this is where briefs come in to corroborate.
Yep. Sean?
Just a comment or to add to it. I think it's really important for researchers to co-create with as much as possible with the people that you want to take up the evidence, the tools, or whatever. And a great example of this, the WASH Tech project, 2011 to 2013, developed a tool called the Technology Applicability Framework, the TAF. Posted yesterday, ATC, the Appropriate Technology Centre in Uganda, posted that they'd just done a TAF assessment of an inline chlorinator in Uganda. They were part of the original project. So 10 years later, they are using that tool that they were part of developing, even though those organisations in the global north that were part of it, they no longer use that tool because it won't anymore and public record. But it's like the uptake of tools is really important if you're working together with the people that are going to use them.
Thank you, Sean. No comments? Questions? Did we have anything online? No, just you're muted, no sound again. I can't hear a thing. Yes, Madeline?
Yeah, 1 second, I just want to congratulate George. A very good job you're doing, because I catch up with SANDEC. So congratulations. I am not in the sanitation sector now, but you make me aware of what's happening.
Thank you.
We all find George on LinkedIn.
It's a good job. It's nice.
No, he does.
Some did not have faith in LinkedIn. There you go. George is the example that it works. Any further questions? Burning ones? No? If not, okay. Thank you very much for staying awake during this session. And I think our panelists did an excellent job. Just one recommendation in terms of policy and language. Make sure that the government understands your language. Make sure they're the ones who are writing the policy papers. Every word has a weight in the Attorney General's office. Don't forget that when you're doing this work. Thank you. Thank you very much. And without further ado, Arne, Vanessa, over to you.
Carla.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry I didn't see you.
That's right.
Wait, let's go around the block.
Okay, so it's time to say thank you. One more terrific meeting. Thanks to the master of ceremony and the masters of the different sessions and the contributors, the secretariat who helped, and not only, but as well all the presentations. As always, it was a overly dense day, and the aim of the secretary was that there's more time for mingle now. So instead of ending at around 6, it's already only 4. And there's champagne, there's chips, there's red wine, rosé, there's my water.
Saturday.
So that's maybe more appropriate for 6 o'clock than for 4 o'clock. So I don't know what you do.
There's no coffee.
There's as well coffees. Yes. There's some coffee in there, and there are some chips and toilets, water, all that's there. Wash. Yeah. But thanks for this day. We have a special, working together and focusing on climate resilient sanitation for those who will be in the breakout session on the GCF annex. It's only half an hour mingle and then the breakout and then another half an hour mingle. And then it goes to the famous island. Anybody knows where the island is?
Google Maps.
Google Maps knows where the island is, but if you type in island, you might be misleading. Do we have any, is there anybody who knows the secret? So,
We can organize a,
yes, usually sort of, we have to be there, we have reserved tables.
Email that SuSanA sent this morning, and if you put that name into Google Maps, it shows you exactly where it is.
But what's the name of the island? It's the usual place. It's the place you go towards the water, you go across the bridge and you go to the right. And then there is something swimming on the water, and that's near that there are tables reserved on for SuSanA at
That's my Swedish.
It's Jorga's Bron.
No problem. That's how we pronounce it in Swedish. How? Very easy. Easy, quick. You take left here when you go down and you reach to the water.
Yeah, and I think it's
on the other side of it.
at 6 or 7ish we have reserved the table. Thanks for the participants online. We had more than in the last few years. And I was quite surprised how smooth usually, or in most cases, that went. It's you can't be with us face to face now. We regret it, most of you. So that's really a pity. But good, you made it here. I think that's a bit from the secretary. The global steering community and the SCI person, maybe a few words to round it up from you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say a big round of applause for everybody making it this far. Thank you very much. Very much for preparing and for contributing and for keep on bringing those important conversations to our sector. I really hope next year we see younger faces and just different faces in the crowd.
I hope there's a water team.
I mean, what's wrong with the faces? You all are very very young. I just mean
You want younger. You don't take it personal.
nobody should take it personal, but I just mean that we do believe that we need to find a way which SuSanA can reach those younger generations that are coming out of university, that are just entering the sector. How can we bring them on board? I think we all have to find a way. We really haven't talked much about it in this presentation, but we really need to engage with the younger generations, because I mean, in the end, we just need to pass on the knowledge, the very important knowledge that is being shared here. And I hope we find a way to do that next year. But yeah, thank you very much. And you have fika and champagne and red wine and all of that. And oh yeah, wait, sorry. So tomorrow, there's going to be a very important screening. It's a Polish documentary. It's at the Biosita. It's a very nice cinema. It's close to the city center. It has a bar. It's not only the film. We have amazing discussions afterwards with Elizabeth, who's already sitting here. Dorothy will be moderating the session. Daniel Ddiba, who is running around the place, is going to be there as well. Please join us. We only have 10 more seats. So in case you want to get tickets and you're not from Stockholm or from Sweden, you can reach out to Alex and she'll reach out to me and I'll buy you. So yeah, we look forward to welcoming you there, and we look forward to just enjoying your company more in this space. So thank you very much.